Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Today is Wednesday, June 2, 2021. CNN report. Top JAMA editor steps down after colleague questioned whether racism exists in healthcare. The top editor of the prestigious medical journal JAMA has resigned following outcry over comments made by another editor, questioning whether systemic racism in medicine exists. The American Medical Association, which oversees the journal, announced Tuesday that Dr. Howard Bauchner will step down from his role by the end of this month. The move comes after months of backlash from numerous physicians and researchers in the medical community.
Fox report. Houston mom charged after shooting 5-year-old son while trying to shoot loose dog. Angelia Mia Vargas was charged with deadly conduct with a firearm on Saturday afternoon. The mom fired 3 shots at the dog Bruno with a small caliber pistol. 1 bullet ricocheted and hit her child, who was hospitalized in stable condition with non-life-threatening injuries, according to police. She could have handled it differently. You know, she was there, her husband was there, I was there, nothing would have happened. Nothing bad like that.
CNN report. San Jose shooting. Body camera footage shows tense moments as officers approach gunman. Body camera footage shows officers tensely closing in on the San Jose workplace shooter and apparently hearing his final gunshots, including 2 self-inflicted shots that authorities say ended his life. "Hey, I've got somebody down in front of me," a law enforcement officer says in the video, peering through a door pane into the next room shortly after hearing the final shots May 26 at a Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority building in San Jose.
Deutsche Welle report. Israeli opposition groups announce coalition deal, setting stage for Netanyahu departure. An unlikely coalition of disparate Israeli opposition parties struck a deal on Wednesday night to form a government, potentially resolving an extended period of political deadlock and forcing beleaguered Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu from the political stage after 12 years in power. Yair Lapid, a centrist, and Naftali Bennett, an ultranationalist, announced the deal after they succeeded in cobbling together a coalition government with a number of parties from across the political spectrum.
Al Jazeera report. Staggering. WHO says 200,000 Palestinians in need of health aid. Officials from the United Nations and Red Cross have visited the besieged Gaza Strip to review the destruction from Israel's 11-day bombardment, including damage to homes, schools, hospitals and other critical infrastructure. Israeli attacks on the enclave that began on May 10 killed at least 254 Palestinians, including 66 children, according to health authorities in Gaza. At least 12 people, including 2 children, were killed in Israel by rocket attacks carried out by armed groups based in Gaza.
CNN report. U.S. announces new delayed tariffs against 6 countries in response to taxes targeting large tech companies. The U.S. government announced new, suspended tariffs on Wednesday against 6 countries in response to those governments' digital services taxes, the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative said. The 6 countries subject to the tariffs, which are set at 25% on about $2 billion worth of goods, include Austria, India, Italy, Spain, Turkey and the United Kingdom. The additional duties will be prevented from taking effect for up to 180 days while the U.S. continues negotiating on a proposed global tax regime through the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and the G20 process, USTR said.
Deutsche Welle report. EU adds Japan to coronavirus travel list, but Britain misses out. EU diplomats on Wednesday added Japan to the bloc's so-called whitelist, which allows non-essential travel from outside the European Union, but Britain is being made to wait. Ambassadors approved the addition of Japan at a closed-doors meeting in Brussels earlier, with the change expected to take effect in the coming days. There are currently 7 countries on the list: Australia, Israel, New Zealand, Rwanda, Singapore, South Korea and Thailand, that enjoy low coronavirus infection rates.
Fox report. Danish journalist has sex during interview for segment on swingers club. One radio reporter went all the way to get a scoop on a swingers club near Copenhagen when she had sex with a man she was interviewing. Louise Fisher, 26, can be heard moaning during the on-the-record intercourse, part of a 2-minute segment that aired on Radio 4 in Denmark. "I don't have a boyfriend. That definitely made it a lot easier," Fisher told the German publication Bild, according to a translation by the Daily Mail.
Al Jazeera report. Protesters back on the streets of Colombia amid stalled talks. Thousands of Colombians took to the streets again on Wednesday amid a deadlock in talks between the government and leaders of anti-government protests that are stretching into their second month. Mass demonstrations were sparked at the end of April against a now-withdrawn tax reform proposed by President Ivan Duque's government, but they have continued with protesters now demanding a basic income, opportunities for young people, and an end to police violence.
BBC report. Czech women win EMP's backing for non-gendered surnames. In the Czech language, the ending, ova, is added to all surnames for women, so Mr. Novak's daughter becomes Ms. Novakova. Women have only been able to drop the ova ending in limited circumstances, such as if they have foreign nationality or live with a foreigner. The Senate will now vote on the change. The proposal was brought forward by former Justice Minister Helena Valkova. She said the current situation was an unjustified unequal position and can lead to absurd situations, with a woman holding residency in neighboring Slovakia, which used to be part of the same country, allowed to change her surname.
Deutsche Welle report. 10,000 volunteers quit Tokyo Olympics as health advisor warns about hosting event. On Wednesday, the organizing committee of the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics confirmed reports by Japanese state broadcaster NHK that 10,000 of the 80,000 volunteers for the $15.5 billion, €12.7 billion event, scheduled to begin on July 23 after a year's postponement due to the coronavirus pandemic, have quit. Though roughly 1,000 volunteers are said to have quit in protest to sexist comments by former organizing committee president Yoshiro Mori, who resigned in February 2021 following the incident, most are thought to have left over potential health risks related to the coronavirus.
CNN report. One of Iran's biggest navy ships sinks after catching fire. One of the largest vessels in the Iranian Navy has caught fire and sank in the Gulf of Oman, according to the country's semi-official Fars news agency. The blaze on board the huge training and logistical ship, called the Kark, began early Wednesday morning. Despite 20 hours of all-out efforts by civil and naval military rescue teams, the rescue operation of the Kark training support vessel was ineffective due to the spread of fire in different parts, Fars said in its report.
BBC report. Budapest roads renamed in protest of Chinese university. The 4 new street signs include Free Hong Kong Road and Dalai Lama Street. They are all in an area where the Fudan University plans to open its new campus, a move backed by Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government. Liberal Mayor György Karácsony has voiced concerns about Chinese influence buying in Hungary. There is growing unease among Mr. Orban's critics towards his closeness to countries including Russia, China and Belarus, as well as his curbs on independence of the media and higher education.
Fox report. DC Maserati road rage shooting suspect ID'd, police say. Police in Washington, D.C., identified a Maryland man as the suspected Maserati-driving gunman accused of shooting at another driver during a road rage incident last month. Authorities are looking for 42-year-old Kenneth Miles Davis, Jr. of Lanham, Fox 5 DC reported. Police said they found the car at a home in Prince George's County. The alarming incident was caught on video in broad daylight on May 19.
BBC report. Muhammadu Buhari. Twitter deletes Nigerian leaders, civil war. Post. The tweet referred to the 1967-70 Nigerian civil war and to treating those misbehaving today in the language they will understand. It follows a recent spate of attacks on offices, mainly in the southeast, blamed on regional secessionists. Nigeria's information minister called Twitter's move unfair, labeling it double standards. The BBC's Joshua Ajayi in Lagos says this is the first time a tweet from the president has been deleted.
Al Jazeera report. COVID rising in the Americas, except in the US, Canada and Mexico. Coronavirus infections are back on the rise in much of the Americas region after weeks of plateauing and decreasing in figures, the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, said on Wednesday. While the United States, Canada and Mexico are reporting an overall decline in cases and deaths, PAHO Director Carissa Etienne said, the rest of the Americas is seeing a rise in new cases, deaths and hospitalizations amid stalled vaccination efforts.
Fox report. Isaac Herzog elected Israel's president, following in father's footsteps. Isaac Herzog, a veteran of the Labour Party, has been elected as the 11th president of the State of Israel. 87 Knesset members have voted for Herzog, while 27 voted for his rival, Miriam Perez, an educator and a mother who lost her 2 sons in combat. This is the highest majority ever registered in Israel's history. Herzog, 60, is considered to be an Israeli aristocrat. His father, Chaim Herzog, served as the 6th president of Israel, and his uncle Abba Eban was Israel's first foreign minister and ambassador to the U.S.
Thank you for watching 5 p.m. recap. To be notified, you can subscribe our channel and activate the bell.